Hi everyone. So the last class, what did we discussed?
For loop for SOQL.
For loop for SOQL. And also we were discussing about the database classes, right?
Yes,
The operations, atomic, non-atomic.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody completed the assignment, previous assignments, all the previous assignments? Yesterday there was no class, right? So did you complete the assignment yesterday?
I did two assignments now, 2 programs I did.
Okay. How about others?
Ma'am, I had one question.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I created one flow in my project work. I created one flow, and because of that flow, some of the test classes are failing. So, did you face any issues?
It is possible. We have to check entire your flow.
Ma'am, any reason why this fails? Because of creating new fields, or
Yes, if you have created a new field and if you have created a field which is like a required field, it might.
it is not required field. I created 2 fields in that flow. The 2 new field in that flow, and because of that, all the means like 4 to 5 classes are failing. So,
No, in the flow you have created, or you're creating a field using like you're updating
in
a
the
field
flow,
on
I
the
have
flow.
created 2 new field and using that 2 new field in that flow,
And it's not required.
and it is not required.
Have you put any validation rule?
No.
Then it should not. You have to go through each test class and see what's going on one by one.
Yeah.
So basically we have to see your row, Rahul. We cannot say that. Okay.
Yes.
So if time permits at the end of the class, we'll take a look at it.
Sure.
So anybody else completed the development assignment?
I was working on some maps,
Okay. Okay. So we are going more further. So if you have not completed, please try to complete it. Now the complicated things are going to come up in the Apex because we are going to jump on the actual work that we are going to do it. So in the database, in the non-atomic, we were discussing about the database class and inside the different methods. We were discussing like insert, update, upsert, and then delete. CRUD operations, we were discussing about it. What are the different parameters can we pass it in one method? So method will be same, but method he's having the different parameter. That means you can call the update method just passing the S object, single S object. Also, you can call the method by passing the list of S object. Also, you can call this method by having the 2 parameters. One is list of SObject and one is all or none, where you have to pass the Boolean value. So we call it as all or none. So this means this is either true or false. Also, we can call a method single S object, and you can pass the all or none. Right now, I'm taking the only one method, update method, but same is going to apply for insert, upsert, delete. Okay. So every method will have a different parameters. So when it is a different parameter, that means this assumes that these are the different methods. Method name is same, but what are the parameters that you are going to pass it? Based on that, your logic gets executed. And next one we have update method. Inside the update method, we have to pass the record to update. What are the records that we are updating? Could be a list of S object, could be a S object. And then we have a DML options. Okay. Next method, whatever I'm going to talk right now is on the beta. It's not yet published yet. Okay, so these are the beta version that I'm going to talk about. And before I talk the beta version, there is another method which is called as a update records to update. It is a list of S object or S object. And here we have a external field. This is also kind of, I have not used it in the real time. Nobody has used it. Can you go on mute, whoever is switched on? So external fields is the fields that we are going to create it for the external objects, which is the external ID or external field. Those we have to pass it there. And next one, which I'm going to talk about, these are the beta versions not yet started. So when I say beta version, there are different levels we have. Update. In update, we have to pass the records to update. What are the records that we are trying to update? Could be a list of S object or could be a S object. And
So
then
what
we have
is
to
beta
pass.
version?
Beta version is nothing but it's kind of a POC. So it's beta version is like Salesforce has released something, and before we try for the actual project, they want us to try for some other thing. Like if we see like there are 100,000 crores of the customers for the Salesforce. So Salesforce found they will test it and they will release that particular functionality. But before it goes to the live, before it goes to the production, or before it reaches to the customer, Salesforce want a developer to try it. And in case if the developer feels that it is not working or there is no use of it, we can add a comments. There is a trailhead community. In that community, we can add what are the issues that we are facing it by using this particular function or by using this particular method. So that next sprint, next release, whatever the next release are there, Salesforce is going to take the input from the trailhead community and make the changes. And once they feel it is perfect, this can go to the customer and implement, and this can go push it to the production without any issue. Then they will release the from beta to actual. For example, LWC. LWC initially nobody was aware. So for a couple of sprints, Salesforce gave us the beta version of the LWC because they want us to try it, and so that we will be practiced So when I know that how it is working the LWC, if I'm used to, and if I'm feeling comfortable with the LWC, then based on the input, they give us some more time to other members also play us. For the LWC, I guess they gave the 2 sprints for the beta. So they wanted to make sure that before we use that function or before we use that method to the real-time project, they want a developer or whoever is interested. Salesforce want us to try yourself for anything, like you play with this or do whatever you want. And once you feel the confident and comfortable and raise whatever the issues are there, raise it in the Trailhead community. Based on the input, Salesforce is going to improve that method and release it successfully, saying that, okay, go ahead and use it for the production. Now it is completely available for everybody.
Okay, so is it like a sandbox or?
It's not a sandbox. I cannot say it is a sandbox. Before introducing any new functionality, they want everybody to make a habit of using this method. That's what I can say. It's not a sandbox.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, so here the beta version is all or none. And then we have a access level. This is in the beta version. And next one is update method. And the first one is records to update. What are the records that we are updating it? And then we have a DML options. DML options. And then we have a access level. This is another beta version. So these two are main. Basically, they are in the beta version. And as well as there is a one more thing which is called as a asynchronous. So asynchronous is, right now nobody is using it, but I don't know when it came to the market. Update async. Here we can pass the SObject and the callback. And next one is update async. The first parameter is SObject. I can use only one parameter, SObjects. Either I can use the SObject or I can use the list of SObjects. Same with here, update async. When I say SObjects, which is nothing but a list of SObject. List of SObject.
So Swapna, the one you're writing now is still in beta or only the ones below?
This is the method. We have
Okay.
another method which is called as a update async.
Thank you.
And next method which we have is update immediate, which is a SObject, or I can pass the list of SObject. This applies for everybody. Insert, upsert, delete. For insert it is a insert asynchronous, insert immediate. For upsert async, upsert immediate. So for everybody, this is the same pattern, it will be followed. Okay, so these are the methods which we have inside the non-atomic for the single method. With the different parameters, we can pass it. Different parameters we can pass. Okay, so let's understand first beta version. So update record to update all or none and the access level. All or none and the access level. This is basically what is this means. This is to modify. First of all, update is nothing but we are modifying the existing object. Update is nothing but modifying the update method is nothing but modifies one or more existing object records, right? Such as account record or contact record, whatever the objects we have. So modifying the one or more field or one or more of the existing object records. Could be a one object, could be a multiple objects. So here inside this, let's understand what is records to update. The first one is records to update is nothing but could be a single object I am updating it, or could be a multiple objects records I am updating it. Multiple object records I am updating. That means single S object or list of S object. Next one, all or none. All or none. All or none is nothing but this is a second parameter, right? All or none is a second parameter. This is going to tell us whether you wanted to perform the operation partial success or complete failure. That means whether the operation, whatever we are doing, the update operation, it will all or none tells us whether you want to partial success or whether you wanted full success. Which developer decision? If you specify false, okay, in this parameter, if you specify false, and in case if the records are failed, in case the records are failed, this method will not return any DML error, will not return any DML error, will not return any DML error. Whatever it is successful, it shows the successful, and whatever it is failed, it will be like that. That means out of 10 records, if the 5 records are successful and 5 records are failed, okay, whatever it is successful, it will go on, and whatever failed, it will just, it will not give any error, the one which has the errors for the rest of the 5. But in case if you specify true, then the exception will be thrown. If you specify true, an exception is thrown if method is not successful. Complete method is not successful. If whether 5 fails, 1 fails, 2 fails, whatever, even single record is failed also, that if you mention here true, then it is going to throw an exception. If the method is not successful. Right? And the next one is access level. Access level. So what is this access level? Access level is basically, if you know already a Salesforce, you might be aware this system.access level. System.access level. This is the optional, whether you can give the access level, whether you can leave it. Okay, it's up to the developer decision whether want to give the access level or not. What is this access level in case if I have to specify it? Basically, access level parameter, this is whether method to run in the system mode or user mode. Okay, so whenever we execute any Apex class or any method, whenever we execute Apex class or a method, anything that we are executing it, okay, on the developer console, whenever we execute it, there is only two mode that gets executed the code. Either the code is executing on the system mode or code is executing in the user mode. Only these two ways the code gets executed. In case if it is running in the system mode, right, what is the difference here? System mode and user mode. So whenever the code runs in the system mode, the objects we have, for example, let's take an object of custom object patient, and we have a fields inside that, right? So objects and fields level permissions. For each field, we have a permission, whether to show this field read-only mode or view mode or modified mode. We have a view and edit. These are the two permissions which are there for the field level. So what will happen if I'm executing in the system mode, the object or the field level permission of the current user is ignored. Current user is ignored. If somebody is running, for example, let's take, I have a user who is not a system admin. Assume that his profile is different. His profile is different. He does not have a complete access to the Salesforce. Okay, so while executing the code, if he runs in the system mode, on the patient level, that particular user does not have access to the field. Okay, in that case, what we can give is, if we give the system mode, there is no issue for that particular user. He can go ahead and execute it. Though he has a permission, he does not have a permission, doesn't matter. When that person is executing in the system mode, it will ignore all the permissions and sharing rules. We have something called sharing rules that will come later. Permissions and sharing rule. Permission and sharing rule will be ignored. If I am running in the user mode, the object permission and field security sharing rules of the current user is applied. So if the user does not have the access to the patient object or few fields in the patient object, in case if he does not have, then if he is running on the user mode, then we cannot perform any operation. So user mode is nothing but the object permission, or the field level security, field level permission, or sharing settings. of the current user, whoever is logged in the user, if the person is running if it is a user mode, all the permission sharing settings of that particular current user is applied or enforced. Okay, so in case if you wanted to know by default, when I execute a method, by default, I'm not mentioning whether it is a system mode or user mode, I'm not mentioning it. So when I execute it, how my code gets executed? Does it execute it in the system mode or does it execute it in the user mode? Default execution is system mode. Default execution is system mode. Default execution is system mode. So same thing here, access level. In case if you wanted to mention here, how can we mention access level dot system mode. In case if you have to mention it specifically for the user mode, mention system dot access level dot user mode. Right? But this is an optional, whether you wanted to give or not, that's up to you. This is an optional. Right? So till so far, is it clear? The beta version, the update method using the records to update all or none access level.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah.
Can you also elaborate on async update?
Sorry, update.
Update record async. You know, there was some new methods I'm seeing. Can you go
Yeah,
up?
I'll
Yes.
come to that point.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll come to that point. Right. So this is how we mention this into the update. Now moving on to the next beta one, where only the difference is here we have a all or none. Here we have a DML options. So what is this DML options is nothing but rest all we are clear. Record to update, we know how to use it. Access level, we know how to use it. Now, what is the DML option? DML option is nothing but database dot. This is the DML options. So what is the DML options? Whether it is mandatory or do I need to mention these DML options every time? No, this is also optional. This is also optional. But in case if you wanted to mention the DML options here, then use the database.dml options, then give the parameter. Okay, so what is this? This is anyway optional, that I understand, but what is this? This is basically kind of a, I can say assignment rule or a rollback behavior. So for example, there are 10 records are there. As I mentioned before, 10 records are there. 9 records are successful. Okay, so 1 record is failed. In that case, if I wanted to roll back the entire behavior, then we can use or we can mention in the database.dml options. So DML options is nothing but which specifies additional data for the transaction. It is additional data for the transaction. What is that additional data for the transaction? So what is that additional data is nothing but such as a assignment rule. So how to pass this assignment rule? Even I'm not clear. I have to try with this assignment rule, information or rollback. Rollback behavior we have to mention. rollback behavior whenever the record is failed. Whenever record is failed. Whenever the record is failed. Right? So in case if you have a question, how do I use the signature? Like, where do I use it? So for this DML options, how do we use it is I'll just give just a skeleton structure. I'll not go in depth on that. So let's assume that I'll give a access modifier also. So public, and let's assume that this is a static method. Okay. So here I wanted to roll back when it is a error. I wanted to roll back. If it is a not error, then we wanted to process. So in that case, we have a something called Database.SaveResult. We have another method which is called as a inside the database class. SaveResult is there. SaveResult is a method. I'm going to talk that later. But this save result, what it will do, if it is a successful, it will process. If it is a failed, and if we wanted to perform anything on the failed records, then it can give you the IDs of the failed records. Save result is going to give us the information of the failed record. So that's the reason in real time, what we use is database.saveResult. So list of database.saveResult. And then you can pass update, and the records to update is list of SOBject. List of SOBject, and you can pass the database.dml options here. And then if you want, you can pass the system.access level, which is a access level dot system mode. You can pass these information. This is how we declare it. Okay, so how it is worked, whether it will work or not, that we will see it later. Now coming back to the actual update, we know what is the update. And here records to update, we know SOBject, list of the SOBject. Now we are clear on the all are null, right? And we are also clear on the DML options. We are also clear on the DML options. And coming to the next one, which is a update external field. Update external field. Now, what is this external field? External fields are basically okay. So external field is, this is also a field inside the SOBject. Inside the SOBject. Just a second. Okay. So external field is basically a fields in the SOBject. So how is the type for this? Like basically we are going to use the SOBject field, SOBject field, right? And this is a optional field. This is a optional, whether you can mention or not mention, it is up to you. This is a optional field. And what is the basic, why we use this external field? Like in case if I wanted to use, what is this exactly? So I'll give you one example. So we have a account object, right? So in case if I wanted to get all the fields from the S object, how do we get it? So we have a something called schema is the one. Schema is, it's a very high level. It's very on top parent. So inside the schema, because I don't know what are the external IDs are there inside the account. That is my first thing. So basically my requirement is I wanted to get all external ID fields. I wanted to get all external ID fields from the account. From the account. Now, if I have to get external ID details fields from the account, I need to go to the account level. I need to go to the account object and verify what all the external IDs are there. Then based on that, I have to specify here the external ID fields. But in case, is there a shortcut? Is there a shortcut to get all the fields of the external IDs? There is a shortcut using the schema. When I say schema, schema is nothing but it's a Salesforce high level table. Okay, it's a Salesforce high level table. Inside the schema, we have a S object. Inside the schema, we have a S object field. S object field. Now in this S object field, what I can do is now I can mention account dot field, account dot fields dot my external ID. My external ID. Now this is the value that I'm assigning to the schema dot S object field. And so let me give a variable name here. Let's say external IDs. Okay. So this is how we get the information about the external ID. Okay. So back to the here.
Is it not giving only
Sorry?
account external ID related to account? Like, so we only have one external IDs per object, am I right?
Yes, but in case Salesforce has extended, maybe there is a possibility that you might need to have a multiple external IDs. Like we have a one project where we have discussed with the Salesforce team and we extended our external ID occupation. So based on the project, it could be, I cannot say it is only one external ID. By default, it is only one external ID. But assume that you wanted to create a multiple.
So, but what will happen in this is in this schema, whatever external ID fields you have created will come. Am I right? Related to that account, because you are okay. So
only related to this account, all the external IDs will come, the fields of the external IDs, and it will store into the variable called EX IDs. Okay. So basically here external ID is nothing but finding the token of the field. Okay, so I have not seen this using it in my real time, but this is what is the external ID. External ID is nothing but finding the token of the field. So whether it is a field is external ID or Okay. So yeah, that is what it is going to identify the token, whether it is external ID or not. Those tokens, it is going to get captured and it is placed here. I never used it, frankly speaking, this external ID field, external field. Okay. Now coming to the update asynchronous. This is the actual interesting topic. Update async. So here we have a SObject as well as the callback. Okay, let's understand SObject. We all know whether it is a single SObject or multiple SObject. Now coming back to the callback here. Callback is basically whenever it is so based on the result, if there is any error or anything, if we wanted to take back the information, we can call back. So let me give the definition of the callback. So why we use it? Use the action callback to update the org data according to the operation of result, according to the result, let's say. So how we extend this callback? Basically, data source dot async save callback. This update async and update immediate is used mostly for the external object data, okay, on the relevant external system. So the update asynchronous and update immediate also, I have not seen somebody using it, but as a documentation, it says that this is used only for the external object. When we are talking to the external system. So when I say asynchronous, the request is executed asynchronously as a background operation. And once it is executed asynchronously, it will send it to the external system that is defined by the external object.
So it's basically used for making a call to the other system?
Yes.
Okay.
So I cannot say call to the other system. Call to the other system can be done by the integration, but here, which is, I can say this is going to exit, like updating the external system object or external system fields.
Okay. There is another one, am I right? Let me check. I need to go back, but there is, so to that there is OData Connect and other external system. Am I right for that?
Data connect. Are you talking about this? I'm not sure on this.
No, I just am thinking what is the real use of update asynchronous, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I have not used it. So probably next class, we can talk about more on this update asynchronous and update immediate. By that time, we'll have some information. When I say next class, not the next class of this class, probably next one. So right now, the definition of the update async is, this is the request is executed asynchronously as a background operation. And is sent to the external system. That's defined by the external objects. That's defined by the external object associated to external data source. Yeah, so this is the one right now. I think somebody has posted. Yeah.
Yes, there is a OData in this one.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, these are the external objects. Right, so for these external object only, we use the update asynchronous.
Makes
Probably
sense.
we have to try one method executing it because so that we'll understand.
Yeah, let me test one. I have some scenarios on OData and we'll get
Okay.
back.
Do you have a external objects also?
You can use any external objects, OData, G Drive, Google Drive, there's so many examples and, you don't need to, you can just use a standard.
Yeah. So let's try with one of the thing. As you said, you have a requirement, right? So let's see if that is works. Then we'll have it tomorrow going through that.
Yeah, maybe next week. Tomorrow I will not be there, but next week I will have something and we can try.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Whereas update immediate is also same, but only the difference is this requests are executed synchronously. Update immediate is executed synchronously. These requests are executed synchronously and are sent to external system. External system that are defined by the external objects. Associated external data source. In case if Apex transaction contains pending changes, the synchronous operation cannot be completed. It will throw an error. Right? So whatever can be executed immediately, it will execute it. But if there is any pending changes, when I say pending changes means could be possible that because of the other field, some other data is updating, dependent field is updating, or some other transaction is getting updated, those changes cannot be executed. It will throw an exception. So this is very sensitive, I can say right now. Right? So these are the update asynchronous and update immediate. These are used for the external data sources. We do not use for the normal Salesforce objects or normal Salesforce business logic implementation. You will not see this. Only the one that you are going to see is update SObject, update list of the SObject, or update list of the SObject, all or none. So, and SObject, all or none. So these are the one which you are going to see maximum in the real time. Only these four will be applied. Only these four will be applied in the real time. If it is an insert, insert SObject, insert list of the SObject, insert list of the SObject, all or none, insert SObject, all or none. Right? If it is upset, just change the replace the update to upset, delete also. Same. Right? So these are the four methods in your day-to-day development life. You will be seeing this. Only these four you will see. You will not see any more. Okay, this I have not seen update asynchronous, update immediate. There are new things that are coming up, access level. Access level in future, you might use it. You might use it, this access level. So in future, you might see developers are using the access level along with the records to update, all or none. Then we have a access level. Then we have a access level. So probably in some scenarios, you might see developers might be using in future access level. This is only for when you have a different profile, like a communities, partner community, and if there are there are different communities out there. If there are any users for the different profile, they might see using this access level. It's kind of a with sharing, without sharing. So what you can give is by default to execute in the system mode, so that it doesn't matter whether the user has access to the field or object, it doesn't matter. It gets executed whenever they perform any action. Clear? Any questions on, probably right now focus is on only these four. Any questions on these four? And the system mode, user mode, default mode. Who is this admin? What is your name, admin? Who is admin here? You are unmute. Can you speak up? Let me take out. Okay. Is it clear on this development part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's move on to the interview questions. What is system mode? What are the different type of, what are the different type of execution methods. What is system mode? What is user mode? What are the different type of differences between user mode and system mode? What is the default execution? Default execution mode. What is update method? What are the different parameters can be passed in update method? Okay, right now I'm not giving the questions on the update async and update immediate. Okay, so these are the questions. Let's move on to the development.